We compete in one of the biggest sports in the world. There's always adversity. You're going to lose more races than you're going to win. But it's those days that you learn the most. Data is our lifeblood in Formula One. Everything we do is driven by the data that these cars create. We're not allowed to practice like in other sports. So we have a virtual world which we rely very heavy on, but also on the data that these cars generate and how we use that data. We're in a fortunate position where we can afford to be quite choosy of the partners that we want to work with. It's not just about having a sticker on the car. It's about the technology that it puts into the car as well. And so therefore, a partnership like the one we have with Oracle, the technology that opens up to us is so exciting. At the end of the day, it's about working with your team. All these different technologies are really helping us to push the boundaries. And we'll see the outcome of that in next year's car.
Hello everyone, and hello for everyone joining us virtually as well. So when I say I work in sports marketing, most of the people think that this is how I spend most of my day, going into the Grand Prix and enjoying the race. But actually my role at Oracle is very much about helping Oracle Red Bull Racing implement some of the Oracle technology and using data and technology to improve performance on the track and off the track. Sports, like many other industries, they're no different. It's been disrupted by data, technology, and innovation. I'm sure you've heard about Uber is not a taxi company, they are a data company. Deliveroo is not a food company, they are a data company. Sports are no different. They've been disrupted by data, technology, and innovation. I was quite lucky to meet actually with Max, and I did ask him a question. Before I get into that story, how many here are F1 fans? Oh, fantastic. That is amazing. How many are Oracle Red Bull Racing fans? Fantastic. We got some. Hopefully after this session, we're going to convert those who are not Oracle Red Bull Racing fans. So for those who are F1 fans and those who are not F1 fans, Max's father used to be a driver as well. So one of the questions that I did ask him, what is the difference between today's world when you drive the car versus when your father was driving the car? And one of the things that he said that in the past, it was the driver and the car only. Today, it's the driver, the car, the race strategy, the data, and the technology. If you think about sports, and when I was working in Spurs, when they were building the big stadium in London, it's not only about attracting the fans to come to the stadium, it's about the global audience. How would you monetize that global audience? And we're going to come to that in a minute as well. From linear TV to second screen and OTT, we have seen like kind of, I don't know how many could be still watching Man United or Liverpool channel or Chelsea fan, but most of the people are watching Netflix and the OTT kind of platforms and the second screen experience. From what I call the talent-based performance to a data-driven performance. Previously, it was all about if you got a talent, then you're amazing, you're going to succeed. But today, all the athletes are focused on how to improve performance using data and technology, and we're going to come to that as well. From a sponsorship to partnership, as Christian said, our role starts once we have the sticker on the car, because it's not about the sticker in the car, it's about the technology that has been implemented in order to help Oracle Red Bull Racing win races on the track and win the hearts and minds of the fans of the track. F1, for those who knows, and for those who doesn't know, of course, arguably is one of the most technologically advanced and data-driven sports in the world. It's not only a competition between the best drivers, it's equally as well a competition between the most innovative engineers and technology companies in order to help those team wins. From meeting every single year regulation changes, to when they kind of start practicing before the race In F1, they are different to football or tennis or any other sports where they can practice and practice a number of days. They actually practice in the virtual world in a simulator, which is try to emulate the track to the extent that they put even the adverts on the side of the track so the driver have a visual memory about where they need to position the car and how they could turn. And then on a Friday, the first time they go onto the track, where they see how the car is performing, and they are starting capturing the data about the performance of the car in order to help them on the Saturday and the Sunday on the race. So Oracle Rebel Racing, to stay competitive, they need a tech company that are able to help them have access to the modern technology, to people, to data. And hence, Christian Horner, when he was looking for a cloud partner, when he said that there is no other cloud partner came close to Oracle, because they had some key challenges or some key requirement that they want to address. How they are able to capture all that data in order to give them an actionable insight, how they are able to drive business performance within the business operation with the fans. And Oracle is the only technology partner that are able to offer the enterprise application solutions and the cloud infrastructure, bringing back office to front office. I remember in my time in Barclay Card, we used to spend a few months, I would say a couple of years, try to kind of do a big data project or a migration from the legacy platform into a new platform. With Oracle OCI, you can do that migration very quickly, and we're going to come into that very shortly to explain a little bit more. But let me jump into and go straight into what are Oracle working on with Oracle Rebel Racing specifically, and how we are contributing to the success of Oracle Rebel Racing on races. So number one is race strategy, and we're going to talk a little bit about the race strategy and what does it mean, race strategy. I'm glad that we have so many F1 fans here so they can keep me correct and ask me any questions. Young driver development program, and Bull Powertrain. Honda had decided to exit F1, and Oracle Rebel Racing have decided to develop their own engine. From 2026, they will going to be running their own engine. And then lastly is the fan experience. As I mentioned, how we are helping Oracle Rebel Racing to reach those global fans around the world. So let me start with the race strategy. So let's watch this video first, and I'm going to come and explain to you.
You have to trust people. If you don't trust them, it's never going to work. We definitely had races where I wanted to pit, they said keep going. It was also the other way around.
For a strategist, if you can use your drivers to help the team, not just as individuals, then that's a lot more powerful.
The driver feeling is very important. If we get the brakes too hot, the engineers are able to see it. But the driver is the one that feels it.
There are a lot of simulations always running.
We run billions of simulations, which help us pinpoint exactly where our maximum point score is. And Oracle have allowed us to do 25% more simulations than we were able to run previously. That's invaluable.
The sport has evolved a lot in that side compared to 30, 40 years ago.
With data, we need to be moving forward and going with the modern technology, and using Oracle has been extremely powerful, really helped improve things in a very short space of time.
25% improvement. We're talking about races that are won or lost by milliseconds. This is massive. Race strategy, It's all about putting all the variables about the race in order to come up with the right strategy. When to pit stop, what tire to put, based on lots of variables. Weather, what the other team are doing, is there a safety car or not. And as you have heard, Hannah was talking about 25% improvement. And we were very lucky this season. For those who are following the F1, race strategy has been under the spot in many races. I wouldn't talk about any of the other driver and what they've been saying on the microphone. For those who are not an F1 fans, ask those who are F1 fans what happened in Monaco and what happened in Miami, where drivers were complaining about the race strategy. Thanks God that hadn't happened yet for Oracle Red Bull Racing, and the race strategy has been spot on. But race strategy is a key and important element of winning races. And to be able to drive 25% improvement on race strategy by getting more data points in order to run those simulations, give you an amazing competitive advantage to the other team. I spoke to some of the engineers that worked on F1 teams, and they were saying back in the day, 7, 8, 9 years ago, they used to have the Monte Carlo simulation, which is where they run the race strategy, and they used to run the race strategy or kind of run the simulation and come the next day to identify what is the outcome. Today, talking about billions of simulation happening and giving in real time what is the right race strategy. This is Monte Carlo simulation. It's not unique to F1, but most of the F1 team using it. It's been adopted from other industries, and other industries are using the Monte Carlo simulation. And as I said, the Monte Carlo simulation is all about putting all the different variables in order to predict the best and optimal solutions. Running this in OCI have given Oracle Red Bull Racing a number of benefits. And again, for those who are not an F1 fans, I'm sure the F1 fans are aware of that, there is a cost cap to be introduced with 150 million per team. To give you context, most of the teams used to spend double that figure. Right? So we are talking about a business that their budget has been slashed by half, and they need to drive same performance or even better performance in order to stay competitive. So running on OCI have helped them not only to improve the performance, but drive economical value. And again, other than that, they are able to upscale, downscale the computing performance whenever they need. If they want to test something, if they want to test different configuration, agility, flexibility, moving some of those workloads from an on-premise to the cloud has been a key to the success of Oracle Red Bull Racing in race strategy. This is what Hannah and Max talking about, being more accurate in your prediction of what to do with the race strategy. Young Driver Program. Oracle Red Bull Racing has one of the most successful junior program in the F1. A number of today's driver that is on the grid coming from the Oracle Red Bull Racing Young Driver Program. Oracle is working with Red Bull Racing, and this is outside of the F1, on identifying the next Max Verstappen. As I said before, it's about talent-based athletes. Today is about performance-based. So the biggest challenge when you are talking to driver is, how could you tell them that they need to get an angle of the steering a little bit more, or which line on the track that they need to take? With technology and data, you are able to identify the optimal line of taking the corners or taking the steering or braking in a much more actionable, insight way that help those drivers to improve performance. And don't forget that most of the people that are helping the driver and the race strategy, like Hannah, are engineers. They're not like the football coaches who are coaches and learn or kind of studied how to deal with athletes. And then the third area, as I mentioned, with Honda exiting the F1, Oracle Red Bull Racing have decided to develop their own engine. So they're starting a new business called Red Bull Powertrain. And Oracle is helping them, similar to what we discussed and explained about the race simulation. They need to do the same thing for the engines. In order to identify the best performance of the engine, they need to run a number of simulations. So if you think about the race strategy, it was about existing business, migrating their workload into OCI. If you think about powertrain, you are starting a new business and starting it on the cloud. So you can test any configuration that you would like to do in order to get the optimal performance for your engine. Race simulation or prediction is not only in sports. What I'm sharing with you guys today is not only a sports story. This is a business transformation story that applies to all other industries. In financial services, try to simulate trades risks in order to identify risks within the financial services. In retail, predicting inventory. Is there any business are not doing prediction or simulation of what could happen? Is there any business here that their budget has increased or stayed the same? We are all sharing the same challenges. Try to do more with less. Try to predict what will going to happen. Simulating different scenarios in order to stay competitive. Let's switch gear to talk about the Oracle Red Bull Racing fans. And Oracle Red Bull Racing have the youngest fan demographic in the world, 19 million fans. And I was quite lucky to meet with Oracle Red Bull Racing in the first day when we were starting the conversation with them. And one of the things that we had a conversation about is how much Oracle Red Bull Racing knows about those 90 million fans. And by the way, the same is applied to my time when I was in the Spurs. We used to say that in the Spurs we have 250 million fans around the world. But the key question, and most of the football club and sports brand, they were going to talk about the big number of fans that they have around the world. What do you know about the fans? Most of those fans are on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So who's making the profit here? Who's getting the value? Whatever that value is, engagement or even monetization or commercial value. It's not the sports brand, right? So the key challenge was for us is how could we are able to help Oracle Red Bull Racing learn about those fans, know where they're coming from, what they like, so we are able to deliver to them an unrivaled fan experience and being able to personalize that fan experience. Like any other business, again, similar. It's not a different story. This is not a unique sports story. Think about it as telco or financial services. You have your customer, your target audience, and you want to attract those audience. And you want them to be engaged. And you want them to be your advocate. So one of the things that we have been doing with Oracle Red Bull Racing is build the fan experience platform. And the fan experience platform is powered by a number of Oracle solutions. The loyalty engine for crowd twists, and I'm going to explain about the paddock. It's an award-winning platform or loyalty program to say. Last week, I was quite lucky to share this moment with the Oracle Red Bull Racing team in a glamorous event where they have won 2 international awards for the loyalty program about redefining loyalty. This is amazing. The ambition of Oracle Red Bull Racing is not to be the best in sports and the fan experience. They want to be the best in the entertainment industry. And then the fan journey powered by Oracle Responses, personalization by Oracle Infinity IQ, and then the hospitality by Eloqua. And last solution we've implemented is the source video for user-generated content. And this was a cool campaign that they have run. The whole idea of the paddock, and I'm going to explain that in a moment, is to reward fans for their engagement. The thing that the sports fans hate the most is if you start giving them points based on their spend. It doesn't mean that you spend more in sports, that you are more fan or your fandom level is high. So you have to engage and reward fans based on their engagement with your brand. And that was the essence of the paddock. How could we bring the fans closer to our team? How they become feeling part of the team? So basically, as you can see here, is you can customize a comic character, and then that's kind of increasing engagement. People comes from the social media, Facebook and Twitter, to be part of the paddock. They gain points based on their engagement, whether they're reading an article, taking a quiz, and those points can be redeemed for money come by experiences. And here comes the source video when it was launched. One of those money come by experiences was a piece of your history. And basically that was a piece of Max Verstappen suit from the Abu Dhabi race. Was sent to fans, and they have been able to redeem this award through the paddock. 30,000 pieces of history have gone in 24 hours. I have never seen an engagement like this engagement we see through the Oracle Red Bull Racing paddock. The paddock fans spend 6 times more on the website than the average fans. So you can see here, we are attracting the fans from the social media platforms to come to the Oracle Red Bull Racing because we know that they are able to personalize their experience to them. And it's completely free. One of the recent research Oracle Red Bull Racing have done is kind of identify that a big portion of their fans coming from the esports. That gives you an indication about the demographic of the fans. I hope that gives you quite an overview in terms of the number of areas that Oracle Red Bull Racing are working on with Oracle. There are some other areas and there are some little bit more details I wouldn't be able to share, I wouldn't be allowed to share as well. But I have to say, at Oracle, we are very excited about the opportunity working with Oracle Red Bull Racing. It gives us an amazing platform to communicate, as I showed you in the first slide, the machine learning infrastructure, taking a complex architecture to our customers, our audience, through a platform that make them highly engaged and can be relatable to them. This was, again, the last example I was going to share with you was a treasure hunt we done in social media. And basically, we hidden some codes, and each code was a number of points in Twitter and Instagram. That was run last season. That's why you see the RB16 car in the image. And again, bringing the fans from the social media into the paddock. Before I go into the Premier League, I have a couple of quick videos to share with you as well what we're doing in the Premier League. But I hope that, as I said, give you a quick overview in terms of the work and the activities we're doing with Oracle Red Bull Racing.
From the 2021-22 season, Match Stats powered by Oracle Cloud are delivering real-time in-match statistics, providing a deeper understanding of the live action to Premier League fans all around the world, enhancing their experience of the beautiful game. The attacking threat metric measures the increase or decrease in the likelihood of a team scoring in the next 10 seconds. This is together, the Premier League and Oracle Cloud will help supporters of every club experience matches in a whole new way.
How many football fans in the audience? Good, fantastic. So I hope you guys have seen some of those match insights. This is the first time we're introducing 3 match insights as explained in the video. But equally as well, this season we've introduced for the first time the first 2 data-driven awards. What I mean by this, it's not subjective awards. There is always a bit debate who's the best midfielder or who's the best the player of the year. Is it Mo Salah, De Bruyne, Mane, Son? There is a debate around that. These are undebatable awards. The award was for the most improbable comeback. And I love this award about the most improbable comeback because basically it's actually looking at the team who have beating our statistics. We have win probability, and we know sports are unpredictable. So this is talking about which team that came from behind to win the game. Anybody can guess who is the team that won that? Spurs. Of course. Yes. For those who have watched this game, Spurs against Leicester, their win probability was 0.02% to win this game. And they came from behind. Most powerful goal is basically measuring the average speed of the ball from the minute the ball is struck up until the ball passes the goal. So, anybody can predict what was the most powerful goal of the season? Why don't, yeah? Go on, Scott. Rodri. Yes. Let's have a look at that video and maybe we're going to find out which was the most powerful goal. This is the top 5.
Effectively and legitimately. De Bruyne. No doubt about that one. It's the best of the lot.
Madison. Oh, it's a good ball in as well. There's a chance for Tielemans. Oh, what a strike from Yuri Tielemans.
For what remains of it now. Alexander. Wow! Oh my goodness me! He has nailed that!
Ward-Prowse! Oh, what a strike! To haul Southampton level!
No. Fernandinho! What a strike! Fabulous by Fernandinho! That's put this.
Sorry, Scott, it wasn't Rodri. It was one of the top 10, I have to say, but it wasn't the winning goal. So another example of terms of how tech, data, and AI can help you enjoy the game in a different way. I hope that gives you a quick overview in terms of what Oracle are doing and how it's kind of helping big brands like Oracle Red Bull Racing and the Premier League to improve performance and get closer to the fans. Those are a story about winning, speed, and innovation. Winning the hearts and mind of the fan, speed of implementation, innovating the way that driving performance on and off the track for those big brands. Before I leave you, I will give you a very small present. Get up your phone, scan this QR code. We'll give you 200 points for the paddock. Make sure that you join the paddock so I can get to work on Monday. Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure being here with you.
We'll do some questions on stage, actually. Amr, come and join me on stage to have some quick questions. Does anybody have any questions in the audience, by the way? If you do, yes. Could we get a microphone down to the front, please? I'll just ask one question while you're going there. So I had loads of questions come in on the virtual app that we use. One of them says, how is the dynamic and culture of working between Oracle and Oracle Red Bull Racing? So how's the culture between you?
Trying to find the best word to describe that. It is amazing. I mean, one of the things that the vision of those two organizations are coming together, because Oracle Red Bull Racing want to push the boundaries of using the tech and innovation in order to deliver and improve performance. Equally as well, we would love kind of customers, partners like Oracle Red Bull Racing, who are challenging us to come up with new ways of doing things differently. There are so many of the things that I presented today that we are being challenged for, and we kind of scratch out, how could we help them in that? And the good news is that those both two brands are pushing each other in order to drive, as I said, innovation and equally as well drive success. So the culture, and again, as I said, this is not only a technology story, this is a technology and people story, because some of the Oracle people are working on those projects. It's not only about giving them the technology. Actually, the paddock, specifically, one of Oracle team is spent 1 or 2 days a week with the Oracle Red Bull Racing fan experience team, helping them develop that program. Same thing for the young driver program and some of the race strategy and so on and so forth. So it's an amazing kind of working relationship between Oracle and Oracle Red Bull Racing.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, could you just state your name and where you're from, please? Yes,
yeah, hi, thank you very much. I'm Jason, I work for Technology Magazine, and thank you very much for an amazing presentation. My question is really, with two prominent partnerships in both Formula One and the Premier League, do you feel that Oracle have become much more of a brand synonymous with professional sport than a general backroom partner? And how will you continue to be at the forefront of cloud and data providers, both from a visibility point of view and innovation, with no doubt many other competitor cloud providers probably nipping your heels?
Yes, so the answer is, of course, yes. And as I said, I mean, Oracle specifically for this year in F1, with the race strategy being in the center for many of the debate, give us an amazing platform to storytelling for our audience. And again, I've been at Oracle for 4 years. I got 4 and 6 years old. To some extent, they didn't even bother about asking me what I work for. And in the past 2 years, since we started the partnership with Oracle Red Bull Racing and the Premier League, they become interested in what I do. And the funny thing that every time that they see the Red Bull Racing or the Premier League logo, say, "Oh, this is where you work." They think that I meet Max Verstappen every day. That's a different story. But back to your question, yes, it's kind of helping us change perception of the Oracle brand with a younger audience. And definitely for those who might think that they know Oracle, there is so many times when I do the presentation, the talk, people come and say, we never thought about Oracle is doing some of those cool projects with an elite and high performance brand like the Oracle Red Bull Racing and the Premier League.
Okay, yeah, we'll come to you. If we can get the microphone around there, please, Tom. By the way, while the microphone's working its way around the room, if you haven't done it yet, there is a F1 simulator outside. Oracle Red Bull Simulator. There are some merchandise available for some of the fastest laps. We're also, well, I'm personally going to buy, whoever gets the fastest lap today, a bottle of champagne. So get the fastest lap, and I'll either hand that to you later on to spray everywhere, not on the simulator, or we'll get it sent to you. So please have a go at that. Yes, can we have your question? Just state who you are and where you're from.
Hi, so my name is Chloe and I work at Samsung. My question is, to what extent do you think the talent of the athlete trumps the data? Because obviously the data is probably right most of the time, but to what extent do you think the driver or the footballer will say, no, this is my decision, or does that ever trump the data?
As you have heard in the video in Max and Checo was talking, of course, the driver feeling, instinct is really important. But I think it's a two-way equation. And again, I wouldn't name any driver again just because this is being recorded. But it's kind of about the confidence. Do you trust the data? And how would you trust the data is kind of giving you some confidence in terms of the race strategy. When should you pit? I mean, there have been some races where Max or Checo or the driver was kind of questioning in their head, should I follow the race strategy? Should I follow the... And again, the same thing as well for the engineers. I was speaking with them actually the day before yesterday, and they said when they run the race strategy, sometimes they just, really? This is what coming out of the simulation and the race strategy, and they follow it, and it works. So it's kind of about you gain the confidence from this. If you don't have an accurate Monte Carlo simulation, as I given as an example, and there are drivers who said, like, why did you give me the decision to pit stop? I pit stop in this track and it didn't work. So that is kind of about, is the data model or the race strategy or your data is giving you what is helping you to win. So it's a cycle, basically. And definitely that by no means say that the driver instinct are not taken in consideration. I was quite lucky actually to hear for the Imola race, the strategy when they talked to the driver. The driver had the confidence that the race strategist sitting in the pit knows what they're doing because there's been a history about this. Hopefully that answers your question.
Okay, I told you we're going to have some brilliant sessions here today. What a great way to start. Thank you, Amr.
Thank you very much, Scott. Thank you all.